If you are interested in understanding what mental health struggle is about, what the grief process entails, what hallucination and delusion really mean, then this movie is for you. You don't want to miss out on this. And for those of us who have already seen this movie, you would agree with me that this movie is rich with psychological undertones, which is what I want us to explore. This movie starts with a woman waking up beside her daughter. She helps her daughter bathe, takes her to school, and even promises to pay her feeding fee after her daughter voiced out about being picked on at school because this fee has not been paid. But here is the twist. This same daughter had actually died a night before all this incident. This disturbing experience is what psychologists term traumatic grief. Traumatic grief occurs when someone experiences the sudden loss of a loved one or something deeply meaningful under circumstances too painful to process. The mind becomes overwhelmed by the emotional pain and it won't be able to move through the normal stages of grief. Some of the common signs of traumatic griefs include denial of the loss, avoidance of reminders, disruption in daily functioning, emotional numbness or dissociation, hallucination or fantasies about the deceased being alive. In the movie, Janaya didn't choose to deny the fact that her daughter had died. Her mind simply couldn't process it. It blocked this process or this painful reality from reaching the conscious awareness. That is why she woke up the next day and continued her life as if her daughter was still alive. In simple terms, she was in denial, one of the classic stage of grief. Denial is one of the psychological defense mechanisms. It is an unconscious strategy the mind uses to protect itself from overwhelming anxiety or internal conflict. Let us call it the mental armor that shields the mind. When life feels unbearable, the mind retreats into this armor as a form of survival. But denial wasn't the only thing happening. Janaya was also experiencing dissociation, particularly dissociative hallucinations. Dissociation occurs when a person becomes disconnected from reality, their sense of identity, or their emotions. It is the brain's emergency exit. That is, it is a defense mechanism one may unconsciously fall into when something is too painful to bear. In Janaya's case, she didn't realize her daughter was already dead. She wasn't mourning her loss. Instead, she was living as though nothing had happened. Even after killing two people, her mind didn't fully register it. Her thoughts were locked on one thing: I need to get money for my daughter. She was playing out her version of reality, a constructed world in which her daughter was still alive and needed her. You might wonder why Janaya's hallucinations were so specific, like her daughter asking for $40 for school feeding, taking her daughter to school, the social worker taking her daughter away, baiting her daughter to prevent a fall. These hallucinations stem from guilt, fear, responsibility, and regret. In traumatic grief, hallucinations often arise from unresolved conflict. In a layman language, we call it unfinished business. The things the person wished they had done differently. From the movie, in terms of guilt, we could see she felt she had failed her daughter by not providing her basic needs. Hence, the aggressive quest to care for her daughter no matter the cost. In terms of fear, you could see the fear materialize in the hallucination when her daughter was taken from her custody by the social services. How about regret? As a result of the seizure, her daughter had died from a complication after a fall in the bathtub. That is why Janaya hallucinated herself carefully bathing her daughter, which implies she is trying to do the right thing this time. It wasn't until her mother called her that Janaya gained insight, a sudden painful realization of what was real and what was not. In psychology, insight is often the beginning of healing. For individuals experiencing hallucinations or delusions, insight marks the moment when recovery can begin. Finally, this movie helps us understand that grief isn't always about tears. Sometimes it is about delusions. Likewise, psychosis is not all about people being mad. It is the mind trying not to die from sorrow.